Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the 2023 GMC Canyon AT4. This one's finished off in Summit White with an MSRP just over $48,000. Now this is powered by the 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder high output engine. It's paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission, and it pumps out 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. That power is primarily sent to the rear wheels. However, this does have the 4-wheel drive system. It weighs in right around 4,600 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 6.9 seconds. Top speed is 98 miles an hour. And it also has a fuel capacity of 21.4 gallons. You'll expect to see around 17 miles per gallon in the city, 21 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 131.4 inches. Its overall length is 213.2. It has a width of 84.4. A height of 79.8. Its ground clearance measures in at 9.6 inches, and it also has an approach angle of 33.3 degrees, a breakover angle of 20.9, and a departure angle of 22.3 degrees. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this GMC Canyon, let's start off with the massive grille. So GMC is spelled out right in the middle with the red accents. AT4 is over on that driver's side. And then we have a pretty boxy design for this grille with all of the cutouts in the mesh to give it some additional cooling. There's also some black trim accents on both sides to mimic some of the larger full-size GMC trucks. So it's really cool to see that integrated into this smaller size truck. Now this also has a set of LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. You'll notice too that there's some bodywork that separates the upper and lower housing. So that DRL actually goes around the entire area with that separation there. There's fog lights in the middle section of the bumper along with some brushed aluminum accents. 2 tow hooks are up underneath as well. And then there's some really nice lines that come down the hood, especially this one right in the middle, just to give it a really neat look. And you'll notice too that there's the what I'll call bumper cutouts, where you can see a little bit more of that tire, and that also helps improve with the approach angle when you are taking this off the pavement. Now as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 18-inch wheels with a 2-tone design to them. You'll notice that there's the plastic fender flares along with the reflectors both in the front and the rear. This also has a set of gloss black side mirrors. There's a sunroof up top, more black in between the windows, and then there's some nice lines that run down the side. There's one in the lower section of the door there, and then one at just the height of the door handles. Now this is considered the crew cab. It also has the shorter bed on it. And then as we work our way to the back, there's the side exit exhaust. And this has GMC Canyon right in the middle. There's also a backup camera, taillights of course. All these sensors are in the body colored rear bumper, where this also has a step on both sides. So that's really helpful to enter and exit, along with the grab handle that's on the top of the rail there. And this also has a towing capacity right around 7,700 pounds, which is very impressive for this smaller truck. Now, as we work our way to the bed space, we have the spray-in bed liner for this. You'll also notice too that for this smaller size truck, we have additional space in the tailgate itself. So it's very cool to see that. It's not a ton of space, but you could store some smaller items in there as needed. There's also several tie-down hooks and a 3-prong outlet over on that passenger side. So you have a good amount of space for this smaller truck and a very light tailgate, which makes it easy to close. And then as we work our way to the interior, the door panel has a really nice 2-tone design. There's the brown leather along with the stitching. There's also chrome on the release handle. There's the window control and a little bit of storage in the lower section of the door. And then that brown piping works its way to these back seats, which have a great design to them. What I love about this smaller size truck is that you can actually lift up the bottom of these seats. So if you need a little bit more interior storage, it's nice that those are located underneath the seat. And as far as space goes, at 5'10", it is a smaller size truck, but I have plenty of room for my feet and my legs. There's storage pockets. There's also cup holders with a space in the middle. You could place your phone, climate vents, which is a bonus, and then some auxiliaries and a 3-prong down below. And again, at my height, I have about 1 inch or so above my head. I really like how the headliner goes up to give me that added headspace so I can sit perfectly straight up and be comfortable in the smaller size truck. Really nice to see. Now, right in the middle, we have the armrest along with 2 cup holders if you need to use those, and the manual sliding rear glass. if you need to use that as well. And plenty of visibility in the back, so it's pretty open and spacious for this smaller size truck. Now as we work our way to the front door panel, it's just like the rear, however there's a little bit more storage. There's also the memory seating adjustments, all the window controls too, and then we do have power operated front seats. AT4 is also on that inner lateral support there with a really nice pattern running down the insert. And then we have the solid leather steering wheel with more of the brown stitching, really cool graphics that appear before you start this up. But let's go ahead and start it up now, and we can go over the rest of this tech. Now on this left side, we have all the cruise control settings along with your distance pacing. Right side, you have shortcuts to Bluetooth, music, you have the heated steering wheel, you have shortcuts into your audio as well, more Bluetooth, and then this pages button is for the gauge cluster. This is the calm screen where you'll notice just miles per hour along with what gear you're in the lower section and some other vitals. We can also pull up the tach along with your fuel, engine and oil temperature and your battery voltage. And then you can pull up your trip information, so it just changes one more time. You can pull up to have your music being shown, and then you can also go to your off-road pages where there's pitch and roll, steering angle, and your transfer case. So that is all that you get. Really nice though that you can change that depending on the driving that you're doing for the day. There's a dimmer switch along with one air vent. And then as we work our way to the infotainment system, power and volume is on this far left side. And then within this itself, if I push on the vehicle there, this is how you get into your doors and windows along with your lights. There is no stock to turn on your headlights. We have the wiper blade here along with your turn signal. So when you want to turn on your headlights, you have to go into this system, even to get into your fog lights as well. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but that is how you do it. You can also get into your navigation, get into your music too. If we go back to home, we have your maps, phone, you can get into your trailering, your climate adjustments, even go to an off-road page where you can pull up all of this information, just depending on what you would like to see, which is neat. And then you do have the camera, so you can quickly pull that up if you need to. And then we have some other controls like the air down mode, so you can set a target and the vehicle will actually honk at you once you've reached that desired PSI. It will not air the tires back up, but it's a neat feature to air them down. So it's a pretty easy system to go through. Underneath that, we also have several controls, heated and ventilated seat adjustments. There's your fan speed, all of your recirc, and where you'd like the air to go. And then temperature dials are on both sides. 2 air vents are underneath that. You can actually put all 4 windows down with the push of one button. It would be nice if you could put all of them back up, but if it's a hot day out, you just push on that button. You have your engine start stop, hazards, lane keeping assist, and then auxiliary power for all of those. Now there's 2 auxiliaries underneath that, wireless charging down below. And then if I put this into reverse, this is the backup camera. You have a few different angles just depending on what you need to see. There's also drive and low range, and you can also shift using plus and minus on the side. Now there are a few different driving modes for driving this, of course. So we have normal, there's also off-road, there's tow and haul, and then terrain. These will actually make a difference, especially when you are off-roading, between off-road and terrain, which we have tested in the past. So check out the off-roading videos that we have done with these vehicles. You also have your 4-wheel drive selector right in the middle. There's the e-brake behind that, 2 cup holders with a little bit of space. And then in the center armrest, there's a removable tray that you can take out. So if you need a little bit more space, you have all that room underneath. And then the glove box also has a good amount of space. Now this does have a sunroof. It has the manual adjusting sunshade with all the controls for the sunroof itself. And as far as visibility goes, it's a smaller pickup truck. So we have the windows basically right there. So it is definitely easy to see over both shoulders. As we set off now behind the wheel for the GMC Canyon, we have been able to drive these in the past. We've even taken one off-road. So if you'd like to see how this smaller size pickup does off the pavement, make sure you check out that separate video. But this is a really nice mid-size option to go with. I will say with this newer 4-cylinder turbo, a lot of people aren't really too keen on going away from the outgoing V6 models, and that's not just with this GMC. Toyota is doing it as well for their Tacoma. Nissan is the only one so far that is keeping a naturally aspirated V6 engine and not going to the smaller engine. However, I will say with this smaller engine, you still get the towing capabilities, you get a lot more power versus the outgoing V6. MPG surprisingly isn't that much better, which is very interesting to see, but we still have about the same weight, probably a little bit more curb weight to this truck than the previous models. So while there's pros and cons to both, the power that you get out of this 4-cylinder turbo, I think, is definitely worth ditching the V6. So it's not a slow truck. It definitely gets up and moves. It doesn't have quite the same sound, obviously, as the V6 did. So trying to get any more of a sound out of this is going to be a little bit difficult. But that's the direction that a lot of midsize and other brands are going, to some of the smaller engines that have turbos and get more power. So comment down below, which one do you like better? I'm a huge fan of it just from the power perspective alone. I know previous models, the power just wasn't there. And so this was a way for them to kind of up that power, and of course probably have to follow some regulations and things like that. But aside from that, driving this, it's been very nice. It's comfortable. It's what you would expect for a pickup truck. It's pretty smooth. And then we'll put it in the manual setting now from second gear. Here we go. And it's got a good punch to it. Now I will say the plus and minus on the shifter is not something that you are really going to be using every single day. This is more for towing situations or off-road when you need to hold a gear. So you're not going to be doing this every single day. The response in it, it's not quite the same as a sports car with paddle shifters or something like that. So it's meant for those style purposes, and it is nice to be able to have for this. And one thing that I did forget to mention, we have volume and tuning controls on the back side of the steering wheel. So you do get those hands-free controls, which is across the board with a lot of the GMC models. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel of the GMC Canyon. This is very identical to the Chevrolet Colorado. They do have a very similar interior, so it really kind of just depends on which trim level you really want to go with and how much you're willing to spend. The GMC will cost more than the Chevrolet just because that's how it is with the GM products. But it's a nice vehicle. It's super small, so it's easy to see on that passenger side, so you can place this on the road. And not a whole lot of technology, but I like the digital gauge cluster. I like the size of this screen here, so it's easy to go through everything. This is a little bit clustered, but everything's laid out well even for that. And it's comfortable. I put several miles on this one. Like I said, we've had them in the past, so I've had a lot of seat time behind the wheel, and it's definitely a good option if you want something that's got some nice materials. There's some plastic on the dash, but a lot of vehicles at this price point seem to have that, so it's not unusual. It would be nice if it was covered in something else, being the GMC version, just being a little bit more luxury focused. But that is going to wrap it up for this 2023 GMC Canyon AT4. Maybe we will see something new for 2024 if those are coming at some point. But that is going to wrap it up. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.